What's up guys, RGT85 here, and today on the channel we're taking a look at Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered for the Nintendo Switch. Now my history with Assassin's Creed is probably like a lot of people's history with Assassin's Creed. I played the first two games, absolutely loved them. Me and my housemate beat them, absolutely fun times. But by the time the third game came around, it was kind of like, okay, that's enough. You're kind of milking this franchise. I really don't need another Assassin's Creed game. Sure, the stealth stuff is very fun. It's a very fun game, but just everything I saw from the game, it didn't look very interesting to me. So I took a break from Assassin's Creed, and I did not return to the series until Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which of course was a phenomenal game. And as time has gone on, most people seem to think that Assassin's Creed 3 is the worst game in the Assassin's Creed franchise. It's not interesting, it's boring, etc., etc. So I sort of had that mindset going into this game that, you know what, it's probably not going to be all that great. I'm probably not going to have that much fun with it. And for the first few hours, I sort of saw that mindset. I sort of saw how people would think that, because you start out the game and it's very Assassin's Creed-ish. Of course, this is taking place during the American Revolution. So you start the game out as a guy who's living in London, who ends up coming over on a boat to America. You arrive in Boston after killing someone, you're escaping London. And it's like, okay, you know, you start for the first few hours, you're in Boston, like you see here, you know, it feels very much like the other Assassin's Creed games. So at the time, I could see a lot of people, you know, being disappointed in this. It doesn't really seem like a big evolution of the series. Now, I think it's fun playing in Boston and in other colonial cities that you end up visiting throughout this game, but the first few hours are definitely just sort of dragging on. And I feel like that is why a lot of people just have some sort of negative connotation about this game. It feels very much like the other two games, and not a whole lot is improved, except for a skin, a new aesthetic of being in these colonial times. But then the game starts to open up, because after the third sequence, the game completely changes, and that is where I was sucked into this game. I absolutely love this game, and I'm not even saying it's a great game as far as the Nintendo Switch version of the game is concerned. We'll talk about what's been changed in the remastered edition of the game, but I absolutely love this game. I think this game is phenomenal. I think it's so much fun because you get things like this. And now I'm in this wilderness, this deep wilderness with things to hunt and things to do and things to explore. And it's like, what? I don't recall this in Assassin's Creed at the time, doing things like hunting and killing animals and gathering different skins in order to advance throughout the game and keep a currency. There's things like bear attacks, there's things like wolf attacks as well. It's just this real interesting dichotomy of a different type of genre of game, going from primarily a stealth genre to a hunting sort of genre. Now I just killed an elk. I haven't even seen an elk in this area, and now I'm going to skin it and get its stuff. And then with this stuff, I can then trade this at various trade posts in town and then get more currency. And what do you do with the currency in the game is actually very interesting. You are trained as an assassin in the subsequent areas of the sequences once you unlock this character. This character is named Connor, and he is the main character of the game. Of course, there is a tie-in to the first few sequences of the game in which you learn about what Connor's relationship is with the character that you originally played as. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, even though it is an older game by now. You probably already know what it is, but there is a big tie-in and there is sort of a big twist. But this is where you actually play the game, and it sucks that the first few hours of the game are just so mediocre. They're just very boring in the grand scheme of things, because all of a sudden the game becomes like Assassin's Creed with a bit of Red Dead Redemption, and you're like, wow, this is pretty dope. And then it opens up even more. You want to grab your semen and swab down the poop deck? Well, you could do that too in this game, because there's naval stuff in here, and you actually have control over taking out other ships that come across your way, and there's a whole bunch of different naval missions where you sort of have this massive boat that you can upgrade by acquiring different funds and things like that. And it's so crazy to me how much variety is in this game, because there is a ton of different things going on within this game. You could sort of see how the game sort of ended up becoming Assassin's Creed Black Flag because of the fact that, of course, you have these boat missions in the game. But I think the boat missions are like hella fun. Like, yes, they're not nearly as refined as something like the Assassin's Creed 4 ones are, and I'm doing absolutely terrible right now because I'm trying to talk to you guys while doing this mission, and it's not going very well for me. But it's just so impressive to me how much variety of stuff is actually within this game. And that's where the game really opens up to me. That's where the game just becomes absolutely amazing, is just in the mission variety. Now, of course, you also have the terrible missions, the ones like where, of course, this was at the time of Assassin's Creed, where there is the overarching story that everything is a simulation, and there are some real world segments as well that are just extremely boring to me. I did not care for them at all. The story itself is interesting, but there's one where you're like in Manhattan and you're having to jump and parkour through different buildings and stuff. Just not very interesting stuff to me. But once you're in the main game like this, it's absolutely awesome. And there's so many different mission types that you come across as well. So as you can see here, this is a map of the Davenport Homestead area, which is a homestead that we are trying to rebuild. And just within this area, this is not one of the towns that I'm in, this is not Boston or anything like that. You can see all of these different sorts of missions. There are homestead missions, there are side missions, you can go to the manor, you can play games, you can actually do different things like hunting, and it shows you the different hunting things that you can do within these things. So here's all the different missions that we have available to us right now. There are general stores as well where you can get things, collectibles that also increase your overall score or your overall memory remembering of this area. And then there's the hunting stuff with all the different types of creatures that are in this area. Like I said, I've come across wolves that have tried to kill me and bears where you're in quick time events. And there's just so much stuff within this game, so much interesting mission variety within this game. And I'm just like, why do people not like this game? This game is awesome. I literally am having so much fun playing this game. I was up till 3:30 in the morning playing this game last night, and I haven't played a game that late in quite a while. Like, I'm just absolutely addicted to this game. Now, of course, we have to talk about the Nintendo Switch version of the game, as this is a Nintendo Switch review. Now, the remastered edition of this game has been getting some very interesting feedback. It seems like they really didn't remaster all that much stuff, them being, of course, Ubisoft. Really, they sort of changed the color palette of the game, they added in some additional lighting and made the frame rate better. Now, the Nintendo Switch version of the game admittedly doesn't look that much different than the Wii U version of the game, and I thought that was kind of weird. My buddy Tillman actually did a comparison video, and you could see some differences, but really, there's not a whole hell of a lot. There are some better resolution textures and things like that, but as far as just from a visual aesthetic standpoint, you can't really notice that much difference. So I actually went ahead and looked at some comparison footage of the Xbox One to the Xbox 360 edition of the game, and I noticed it's pretty much the same sort of thing. They increased the color palette, they sort of changed the color palette on some things, and they changed some character model basic features and things like that, but for the most part, this isn't really a remaster by a standard definition, I feel. Now, as far as what you're getting within this remaster on the Nintendo Switch version of the game, you are getting a better frame rate. It does seem to play around 30 frames per second for the most part. There are definite times when there is slowdown though. You'll notice it as you're playing the game. As situations get a bit crazier, you'll definitely notice it a bit more. It's just like, okay, you know, especially during big battles and things like that, you'll definitely notice some slowdown, but you know, it's not really all that bad. It's not game breaking, because you got to remember, the original Assassin's Creed games are kind of like how Saints Row games were. They are very fondly remembered, but when you actually go back and play them, there was a lot of issues with things like frame rate. There was a lot of issues with dips in frame rate and just consistency of the game. Now, the Nintendo Switch version of the game does have some additional stuff. They actually included gyro controls in the Nintendo Switch version of the game, should you choose to play with gyro controls. I actually have not checked them out yet, because I don't know, I think the standard controller works great for this game. I'm having no issues like I was with Resident Evil 4, where I was like, oh god, I need gyro controls in this game. I think the game plays fine. I will say the audio mixing on this game is definitely very weird. You'll get a cackle sometimes and a bit of a crackle when it seems like there shouldn't be. Some of the voice actors just sound a bit bored, and like I said, the audio mixing, some of the things that should be louder aren't loud enough. It seems like they really focused on the voices to be the predominant thing in the audio mixing over things like sound effects and, you know, different things like gunshots and things like that. So I do think that is a bit disappointing. The audio is definitely lacking in this game. But what's really crazy about this game is this is just the main game. This is just Assassin's Creed 3, the main game. You also get Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, which was a PS Vita exclusive that has then come over to other platforms. It is now available on this collection that is available for $40. I haven't even checked out Liberation yet. Liberation, of course, takes place in a different area. You're actually playing in New Orleans as opposed to the East Coast during the American Revolution of the game. But just wow. Wow. I love this game. I absolutely love this game. It is not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. There are definitely issues with it. It's definitely a game from 2012. The combat doesn't feel all that great. You know, it sort of had that combat that was more refined with games like Batman Arkham Asylum. They really sort of figured out that beat 'em up combat that you just don't get that sort of same feeling in this game. But just the sheer variety of stuff. The fact that it's like Assassin's Creed with Red Dead Redemption and pirate ships all in one game with a heavy stealth mechanic. It's like awesome. Awesome. Why do people not like this game? I think this might, oh God, there's a wolf. All right, dude, let's be cool here. Oh my God. Like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. We got him, boys. We got him. Like, oh God almighty. Get off me, get off me, get off me. So we, of course, completed a challenge there by killing the wolf, and now we're gonna get the hell out of here because I do not feel like dealing with this den of wolves that we've evidently encountered and things like that. There appears to be some chests here. All right, we've come to the end of the world. We've got to get out of here. Let's make moves. Let's make moves. Let's make some moves. We need to go back and get that treasure chest though. But little things like that really make the world sort of feel alive. You don't really get that same sort of feeling when you're in the towns, but when you're in the more rural areas, you definitely get some quick time events like that just pop out of nowhere, whether it's a wolf or an elk or a bear or something like that. So from a sheer content standpoint, I love this game. It looks great in handheld mode too. I actually have played most of this game in handheld mode that I've been playing with it. I've been playing for, you know, several hours now, and just a very enjoyable game. If you've ever been on the fence about Assassin's Creed 3, I think you should buy the game. Like, I think the game is great. It starts out so slow, and I think that turns people off. But once you get into the actual game, there's so much stuff to do, and it's just so much fun. I don't care what you buy this game on. You want to buy it on the Switch? Great. You want to buy it for your Xbox 360? Great. I don't care. Play this game. This game gets a negative reputation, and it does not deserve that negative reputation because I think it's great. Great fun. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Assassin's Creed 3. Is this a game that you have played before and you actually enjoyed? Or do you agree with a lot of people who say, oh, this is the worst Assassin's Creed game ever? Because you know what? I think they're wrong. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video because I'm going to sit around and play this game for the rest of the day. Later.